Okay. Now the question is going to be, how do we do this? So, maybe what we might need to do is like move the little thing back and forth. So let's just see. I mean, it could go like that, right? And I'll just start. Reading the shawl. I wasn't sure about the color. What do you think? Anna Monica had one just like it, and every time I put it on, it reminds me of her. Okay. Hello. My name is Jim. I'm actually here instead of on the screen today, except for you guys. We got Gore. Oh. Chama, Javier, welcome. And we are blessed to have Bhante Sanata Vihari here with us. He is going to be leading us on a retreat. Apparently, not too many of you guys, but Carlos and me, this week in Galapagar. And he was willing to, he didn't have anything else to do, he said. I asked if he wanted to come, and I have nothing else to do. So here he is. So I thought, well, would you like to lead? We normally sit for 30 minutes. Do you want to lead it, or would you like me to lead it and then you can kind of lead the discussion?
I can do it.
Okay, yeah. Cool. You know, one thing we will need tomorrow and we need now is a bell.
Bell.
We still have a small bell. To bring this to Galapagar. I think I have a small one. Look at Gore. What do we want to have on the screen? Why don't we have us? Better instead of Gore. So I change this to.
Because people online are not seeing Bhante.
They will as soon as I move this thing. Oh, this is new. Yeah, but speaker should be me, right? Maybe Gore's not muted. That's possibly the problem. Sorry, Gore. Go away. No, I'm kidding. You're in the speaker view, but we haven't figured out why that is.
Maybe you can pin yourself.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Pin. Okay. So, before, and you can move it around however you want.
Okay, that's
if
fine.
you're willing, just to kind of help us with our connection with Sangha, right? Maybe we can go around the room and you can say your name. And then also, if it's the first time here, if you just let us know. Maybe starting with you.
It's my first time here.
Oh, nice.
My name is Irene.
It is again?
Irene. Irene.
Elene. Okay. Welcome. Bienvenido. Say your name again?
Rohit.
Rohit, right? Sorry.
My name is Leon or Leon.
Leon. Leon.
Hello, my name is Anna.
Welcome, Anna.
My name is Cam.
Cam. Cam.
I am Joanne. My first sister.
Joanne, welcome. Oh,
Hello, my name is Juan.
Juan, welcome.
Conceit.
I'm Carlos.
Carlos. And I'm Jim.
And I'm Sanata Vihari.
And let's see, online, are you guys willing to say your names for everybody? Maybe starting with Chema.
Chema.
Hello, Chema.
Hello, my name is Emilio. I'm from Madrid.
Video. What was that?
Hi, my name is Javier.
Hello, Javier.
Just an observation, you hear that speaker instead of this. Do you want to should we turn this sound system on?
Okay, well, it'll be easy, right? And it connects to this via Bluetooth.
Either to your computer or to the TV, which is connected
Maybe,
HDMI.
maybe TV's better. This is where I was like, way over.
Yeah.
So Gore, can you say your name again?
Yeah, my name is Gore. I'm from India.
Oh, nice. Okay, hold on. I gotta fix the audio settings, right?
Yeah, so can you use the speaker from the TV?
Samsung, right?
Samsung, exactly. And then here on set. Oh, it's already connected, I guess.
Gore, what country are you from again?
From India?
Oh, we didn't hear anything. Okay.
Just a
No.
second. It's connecting.
I am.
There you go.
Ah, okay.
Now?
Now,
You can hear me?
very well. Oh, and we have
Okay.
another person, Damien. Sounds so funny when I say Damien. Can you say your name? And I think we have this person over here. What's your name? Nacho. Okay. Oh, I hear another person entering. You know, for those of you who are new, we have been meeting this Sunday English-speaking Sangha for 6 years now in Madrid. And we started off in my apartment. And then after a while, started off in the living room, and then it ended up in the living room and the dining room, and then ended up in the living room and the dining room in the hallway, and people were practically in the bedroom. That sounded weird. People were practically in the kitchen. Hey, Darren. So I started looking for a space, and that's how we ended up here. And right before the pandemic, we had groups of 30, 40 people on Sundays. And we had a tea break and stuff. And then the pandemic hit, and obviously things have changed. But our hope kind of is to really build that Sangha back and maybe reintroduce the tea break where we get to socialize and stuff like that. Can you come more?
Opening.
Yeah, get you guys between in the columns, within the columns. Darren, if you're willing, maybe go over there.
Well, I was thinking maybe this place.
Or even right there, perfect. Don't need this anymore. So yeah, the idea, a couple ideas behind this has really been about building Sangha. There's even a story about, I think it was Ananda asked the Buddha whether Sangha or community was half the path, and the Buddha replied, no, it's the whole path. So yeah, very glad to see there's a few more people. Originally there were only like 6 people signed up, and I'm like, gosh darn, we're going in the wrong direction. But this is good. I'm glad to see you all here. And because we're blessed with Bhante being here with us, I'm going to turn it over to him, and he'll lead us in a meditation. And then we're going to, I originally had planned on talking about something, but since he was willing to come, I thought we would ask a monk a question afterwards. So you could get your topic with this question, even have citations, and see how he does it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So do you want a timer?
Having a nice show now.
Oh, did I do something maybe?
Yeah.
How do I undo what I did?
Intermission.
Exit button, that's here. Exit. There you go.
I wonder if that? Did you guys watch that on Zoom too? Did you get the TV? Probably not. Would you like to set a timer?
Yeah, once I get going. So hello everyone. So I'll try to share with you something that you may have not tried if you haven't been meditating for a long time. There's this practice called observing the body, Kaya Nupassana in Pali. And usually the main way people practice this is through the breath. So anapanasati, breathing in, breathing out. That's one of the exercises the Buddha gives for watching the body, observing the body. But there's another one where the Buddha says that we can focus on four different things. The solidity of the body, the warmth of the body, the cohesion or liquidity of the body, and the movement of the body. These are all valid ways to practice too. So today I wanted to focus on the easiest one, the body, solidity. So I found it very useful in the beginning to kind of just focus on your seat, where you're sitting on, the part of your body that makes contact with the cushion or where your legs make contact with the floor, and just use that solid sensation as your meditation object and hold it. And if you feel comfortable, then you can cover your whole body and focus on the solidity of the entire body. All right? So it's a little bit different, and we can actually focus on anything. The Buddha says, like your teeth or your hair, or anything solid, your nails. So if some of you do mudras, like you can just feel your nails and focus on the nail and the solid part. And just get in touch with that solid part of the body. And that's all we're going to do. We're just going to watch the solid feeling of the body. And we'll do that for 30 minutes.
Okay. It won't ring when it goes off.
Okay. So now that your mind is calm, body is relaxed, you can bless yourself with your calm mind by the great wisdom and compassion of the Supreme Buddha, truthfulness of his teachings, Dhamma, noble qualities of his perfect disciples, Mahasangha. May you be well, happy, comfortable, and peaceful. Sapitiyo Vivanjantu Saberogo Vinasatu Mate Bhavantwantirayo Sukhi Digayuko Bhava Bhavetu Sabbe Mangelan Rakantu Sabbe Devata Sabbe Buddhanubhavena Sabbe Dhammanubhavena Sabbe Sanghanubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te. Also, by the power of this harmonious practice, may you be free from immature company, and may you always have good companions until you attain Nibbana. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satam samagemo hotu Yaveni Bana Patiya. Would you like some water? Yes, please. How was your meditation? Did anyone have any difficulties, or was there anything different if you've already been practicing for a long time? Yes?
Yes. It's been a long time and I got distracted.
And what did you do when you got distracted?
I tried to concentrate on what you said,
Mhm.
body and health.
That's exactly what we're supposed to do. So every time when a distraction arises, not if it arises, thank you. When a distraction arises, we just make a mental note. Oh, look at that. But I'm supposed to be meditating. Okay, back to the body. Don't judge yourself. Don't criticize yourself. Let go of all your expectations. And just gently bring it back, like if you're training a puppy. Come here, come here, come here. All right? Bring it back. And then the puppy goes again, because the puppy. Come back, boy, come back. Gently, okay? So every time a distraction comes, again, you bring the puppy back. Don't pull it by the leash, okay? You're going to traumatize the puppy. Don't do that. Nice, kindly. Okay? Anyone else?
Do you have any suggestions for meditating with jet lag?
Well, I guess the most obvious one is get some sleep, right? Yeah. If you can't get some sleep, then I would suggest meditate laying down. Just meditate laying down and just do your normal meditation, whatever it is. And when that unsatisfactory feeling arises, like whatever it is, maybe you're thinking, no, I should be asleep, or I should be awake because I have things to do. Whatever aversion you have, kind of like, just treat it like that puppy again. Like soothe yourself, like, oh, it's okay. Don't expect anything from yourself. It's like, it's okay, it's all right to feel this. I'm not supposed to be 100% all the time. Maybe I need a break today, or maybe I need a break in this minute. And just treat yourself with kindness and compassion, and just kind of embrace, right now I'm tired, right now I'm sleepy. That's okay.
Right now I'm head nodding.
Yeah, that's okay too. Yeah, that's why it's better to lay down than head nod. Then you might fall asleep. So either way, something good comes out of it.
Okay, thank you.
We can always do what Jim said too, right? Like ask the monk questions, right? I think we can do that too now.
Yeah, especially I was thinking if you've had some question for a long time and you really wanted to ask an authority, such an opportunity. When I'm here, forget it. You're just going to get an amateur response. But and before Bhante decided to come, I was thinking we would talk about not self, anatta, which is probably one of the most difficult things for us Westerners to get our head around. What does that mean, there's no self? I mean, I'm right here, But I think that's one of the ways that the Buddha really shook things up in India, 2,600 years ago, as he said, there's no soul, there's no Atman, there's no self. So that's my tough question. It's just, but I'll add just a little bit. As many of you know, my mother passed away a month ago, and I was with her, for her final breaths. And when that, energy of mom was gone, there was this corpse, and it was so clear that, at a minimum, my mother was not that body, right? Because the body was still there. She was very clearly gone. And it really kind of drove home this idea that we are not our bodies, and really, we're not our minds, we're not our thoughts, we're not our beliefs, none of this stuff. But it definitely drove home the point that she was not her body. So yeah, anything more about that one? even some historical context if you want, because it's such a tough one for us Westerners to get.
I love history, but I'll try to avoid it for the beginning. I'll go into it later. There's a very nice example that the Buddha gives about not self. It's the example of a chariot, but we can use a car now. It works the same. Yeah. So he tells someone, okay, well, point to me, touch the chariot for me. And then the person goes up, now we say, touch the car, right? So you touch it, and he goes, oh, no, that's a door. That's not a car. He goes to another part. No, that's not a car, that's a window. And the man goes touching everywhere, but he never touches the car. Right? The car is empty of car. What is the car then? What's an idea? Right? It's a construct, a construction, a fabrication. It's just something that we call, when all these pieces are together, we call that a car. So, this thing that we call the self, it's just like a car. Physical body, feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, emotions, thoughts, seeing, smelling, touching, hearing. When all these things are packed in together, we say self. That's the self. But that's just an idea. That's one of the examples that the Buddha gives on how to think about anatta, non-self.
Is that like the name and form?
Yeah, it has connection with the name and form, yeah, nama rupa.
Like, what about the ego? What about the mind? That's started to recognize, and you are meditating and you think you're advising, your meditation is more advanced, and suddenly the ego comes again, then the spiritual ego comes, and it's so difficult, it's so tough.
So there's another word that the Buddha has for this, called, we just talked about it earlier too, called mana. Mana means like conceit. There's three types of conceit. Superiority, when you think you're better than others. Inferiority, when you think you're worse or lower than others. And the other one, which is difficult for people to understand, as soon as I say it right now, you think you're the same as others. These are the three levels of conceit. The first two are very obvious, right? The middle one. Why that middle one? Why you shouldn't think that you're equal to others? Because you're still comparing yourself. You're making comparisons. You're comparing yourself to someone else. There's where pride comes from all the time. Or comparing yourself to your past self, comparing yourself to the future self, comparing yourself to your ideal self. Anytime we make a comparison, we fall into this wrong view. So we have to avoid all comparisons. That's what we call like this being egocentric or egoistic. We can translate that kind of ego, because even in English, ego means a lot of different things. That kind of ego, the Buddha talks about as mana, and it has three different like dimensions to it. I don't know if you wanted me to explain something else about it.
I don't know, it's just that sometimes it's so subtle, you are meditating and suddenly you have a very good meditation, and like you reach that state of maybe peace, maybe connection, and it's like suddenly the ego comes, maybe it's also the comparison that you're speaking about, like this is, I'm meditating better, or and suddenly it's like you want to go there again, and it's like because you want to go there again and because you are making these comparisons, you don't get there, and then there is frustration. And,
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, for me it's very difficult to handle all of that in meditation, and I don't know if there is any advice that can give us, or how to handle that in our practice of meditation.
Before you say anything, I just want to talk to the group online for 1 second. Have you guys been able to hear the questions?
Nodding yes.
Heads nodding? Okay. Very good. Thank you.
So there's this recitation that the monks have to do every day. And it's basically how to live the monk's life. And within this recitation of the monk's life, the Buddha says, Kanti paraman tapotitika nibbanan. Patience is the highest practice. Patience is the first practice. As you notice, the first time you sat down for meditation, maybe it was today, you had to practice patience, right? With your body, with you thinking about maybe leaving or other things. So the first thing we have to learn is patience. And it's this ego that's not comfortable because this ego always seeking some excitement, right? Or criticizing something. Oh, this cushion is not that good, right? Oh, that instant doesn't smell that good. Oh, I heard people making noises outside. This isn't a good meditation center. It's very noisy. Patience, patience, patience. And then the Buddha says in another sutta, patience and endurance together have to go together. But this patience comes out of loving kindness and compassion. It's not like the patience of a soldier. I was in the military, so it's not like the tough guy patience, right? Like I'm just gonna take it all, right? It's not that. It's this acceptance, this surrendering, this letting go. And that's what's gonna help you little by little get rid of that little voice, that ego. But just to let you all know, to make you kind of like, I don't know, feel better. That's the last thing to leave at the end of the spiritual path. There's 4 levels of awakening, and right before you become a fully awakened being, the last thing there holding you back is this thing called mana, that ego. So we all got a long way to get there. So, if you don't let go of it in this lifetime, don't worry. It takes a long time.
I was on retreat with Martin Allward, and that exact question, Nacho, came up. And he described the ego as having, its own agenda, and wanting to be seen, and wanting to be known, wanting to be valued, wanting to have a role. And so if you get that nice, calm, you got a little bit of consistency going there, the ego, you don't notice the ego's aside, the ego doesn't like it. And so it might even come back even stronger if you've had a period of calm, to make sure that you understand that the ego is still there. So his basic comment was you practically have to expect it. It will come. If you get a nice run going, it doesn't mean the ego isn't going to come back. It will. You can ask anything. Basic meditation question at home, or?
I have a question in the past.
Yes.
I think something I've struggled with, especially over the past 2 years, is how to hold space for the grief that we've been experiencing collectively, global tragedies, and also having self-compassion and allowing myself to experience the joyful moments. And how to kind of hold those 2 things together without getting overwhelmed. I was wondering if you had any advice on that.
Yeah, there's this practice that the Buddha gave us called Brahma Viharas. Brahma is like God, and Vihara is like a dwelling. Or we can say divine dwelling, right? A divine dwelling, a divine abode. And the first practice is called metta, which literally means like friendliness, but is usually translated as loving kindness in English, loving kindness meditation. Then after that comes the practice of compassion, which is really kind of want to focus here because you're talking about the grief and maybe like some self-criticism or not acceptance. So there was an interesting study that was done. Well, it's been more than a couple of years ago now, with Matthew Richard. Some of you familiar with Matthew Richard, the French Tibetan monk? him and some other monks, they got them together when they were first doing the first brain scans, or no, it wasn't even the brain scans, it was just the EEG thing, yeah. They wanted to see how their minds, how their brains activated when they were practicing compassion. So they put on, that headdress or whatever on them. And, okay, go ahead, practice compassion. And they were practicing, and then they're like, there's something wrong with the readings. Like, we're not seeing the same readings. What are you doing? They got them they took them off the machine. What are you doing? What are you practicing? How do you practice compassion meditation? Oh, I just wish that all beings be free, that they're free of their suffering. I wish them all the best. And then the scientist said, that's not compassion. And then the monk was like, what's compassion then? He's like, no, you have to think about their suffering, their pain. And he's like, why would I want to do that? That's like horrible, right? That's not going to work. Like, who's that going to benefit? Instead of, one person suffering, now there's two people suffering. It's a force multiplier, right? So they were confused, and I think they were doing these studies because they were trying to figure out with like clinicians about like compassion fatigue, right? So sometimes there's this, because emotions and feelings are so strong, we think that we have like this obligation to take other people's pain and burden, or to, I think it comes from a good place, but it's not well thought out when we do this. We're thinking like, I have some sort of responsibility. It's kind of my fault that I did it, right? And if only I could do something, then the world would be a better place. But that just leads to, most of the time, to us beating ourselves up because of our limitations, or we fall into despair or hopelessness. The real compassion is developing yourself to such a degree to when you're faced with suffering, you can act in a skillful way, right? To alleviate or to eliminate that suffering, right? So instead of focusing on other people's pain when you see the suffering, focus on wishing them well, that they were well, right? And if you can actually do something, then do something, right? That's the obvious answer. We're just not going to meditate and hope all our problems go away. The meditation is to activate that part of you that tries to see the best in the situation, the best in yourself, to help others. That's real compassion. The real compassion is being able to alleviate or eliminate suffering. That's the compassion part. So for that, we need to train. And first, we need to train in loving kindness. And the Buddha says, in order to understand loving kindness, we have to start off with this axiom or this basic understanding that as am I, so are they. As they are, so am I. Taking this into consideration, one shouldn't harm or tell others to harm other living beings. Right? So we always kind of have to start with this place where we see others as ourselves. Others' happiness is just as important as our happiness. Others' suffering is just as important as our suffering. Right? So we have to kind of, instead of dealing with the pain, we deal more with how can I bring up this joy? How can I bring up this loving kindness, compassion, where I'm better able to serve the world? Because if we let the pain overwhelm us, then we can't really do anything, right? Like when we're so distraught, then someone else needs to be compassionate towards us to help us. So instead of kind of falling into that trap, we need to activate this part of our mind that helps us actually be able to do something or be ready when something does happen. So I would recommend just practicing loving kindness meditation. I mean, you just put it on Google now, YouTube, loving kindness meditation. It'll come up like that, So that would be my recommendation right now. Mm-hmm.
But I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So this is again based on what Jim said 3 weeks back.
Let's blame Jim.
No, I mean it's a question about self and or those things.
So I was like meditating, and this thing has never gone.
Mm.
You know, I was like you said the example of the chariot and all of those things. But then I was, whenever I think about the self, I just write it down. Like, hey, what is self, and and then I figure out how am I, subconsciously thinking about the self. And so I have this diary in which I write it down. So today I was walking and then running, and then I came up like if suppose I identify myself through some labels, and so that contribute to my understanding of the self. And so, for example, the labels are an Indian person, or designer, or runner, or so man. And then what happens is, whenever some of these are attacked in some way, like, look, India is not supporting Ukraine. I feel that. And then I was reading on this, and apparently, I'm not sure about this, but probably it's like an attachment to a label kind of becomes a path to suffering, kind of that thing. But I don't know. I can identify this pattern somehow, but I cannot figure a way out. So that's my question. I don't know if it's a question or it's like a comedy or something.
It can be both. Well, that's good that you're doing that. Do that, but do that with feelings. Sad, angry, happy, joyful, lustful, hungry, thirsty. Do that with the feeling. Try that with feelings. Because the real key access to the experience of non-self is not in thought, it's in feeling. Once you're able to not personalize, not attach yourself, not cling to the feeling, that experience of non-self is very evident. Kind of like when you're in a dream and you're falling, and you're like, right? Not as scary, but it's something like, well, for some people it is very scary when they have the non-self one, so I have to clarify it. It can be scary, but it's something like that, I think sometimes, at least for Western people, because I don't see really like Sri Lankan or Thai or Burmese people kind of get stuck up here that much. But for us, or people who were raised in the West, or something like that, we really identify with our thoughts more than anything, And I haven't noticed that with like traditional Buddhist people. They focus more like on their heart. They identify with the feeling more. And I think there's the key. If you can not, identify with those feelings, you can really get that experience of non-self. And then the thought part will be easy, because thoughts are more ephemeral than feelings. The feelings are very powerful. So if you can kind of see that, just flirt with that a little bit, and hopefully it'll work out for you.
Thank you.
That's interesting, because I know some people also get very attached to their feelings, as that is me. Like I'm a sad person, or I'm a happy person, or I'm an angry. That was me, the angry person and stuff.
Yeah.
So I get, if I just make sure I understand you. So if we can let go of those, then these other things are easier.
Yeah.
So this is going at the hardest ones.
Yeah. If we get very technical, like, if you understand what dependent origination is, paticca samuppada, the place to intervene is between Vedana, feeling, and tanha. When a pleasant experience or unpleasant or neutral experience arises, at that moment, you have to have awareness so it doesn't set off the chain of events of craving, desire. Because after craving, desire is identifying. You are that, being attached to that, right? So as soon as the feeling comes up, you have to be able to let it go. There's the key.
Do all of you know what Vedana is? This type of feeling up. You want to explain it a little bit? Such an important one, the second foundation of mindfulness and so forth.
Yeah, so Vedana is described, like I just said, as there's three kinds of feelings. They're not emotions. It's more subtle than that.
Like reactions or something.
Yeah, it's just like, you're walking down the street and there's like someone really handsome or good looking, and as soon as you see them, that spark hits, it's that, Or like you're going down the street and like you see something tasty. The moment you see it or smell it, automatic, or you hear someone's voice, automatic. Before the emotion comes in, there's something that you like about it. Or you see a person that you don't like and automatic you feel that, like get it away from me, right? So it's that. I think there's two things that I like. One that Bhante Analayo uses, which he says like hedonic tone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Another one also is affective tone. To any experience, to seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, listening, or even thoughts. To any experience that we have, at the moment that the experience happens, we have some sort of feeling about it. That feeling, if we don't have sati, if we don't have mindfulness, will set a series of events off, starting first with craving and desire. That handsome person, I want them, right? If it's your coworker, when you see him, like get him away from me. I'm not working today. Like I don't want to see them, right?
The boss.
Yeah, the boss. So when we talk about craving or desire in Buddhism, it has two sides. It has the side of wanting it, desiring it, and the side of like hating it and pushing it away. That's what we mean by desire and craving in Buddhism. But that is triggered by the feeling. So we always have to be mindful and aware, because all the time these feelings are happening. All the time, even when you're here, all the time, these feelings are happening. And we have to be aware so it doesn't lead to desire, right? It's a very subtle thing, because as soon as you see, smell, taste, or touch, that feeling is there right away. So your mind has to become very clear, very calm for you to be able to experience that affect, that hedonic tone as soon as it happens. But when you can, it's liberating.
I think we've talked a little bit about this at group level. This is an instinctual, this is a survival mechanism. So it isn't like there's much we can do about it. It's built into our neuron. Right? The mind is constantly trying to decide, is this something I want, food, for instance, to eat? Or is this a saber-toothed tiger that I have to get away from, or a car, or a, football fan of another team, Liverpool. And then the third one, though, is probably the most beguiling, and that is ignorance, or not ignorance.
Neutral feeling?
It's neutral feeling. So it's neither pleasant nor unpleasant. And then the mind doesn't like that either. It wants to have a decision. It wants to have a direction. It's just sort of neutral, then it'll create something to create either a pleasant or unpleasant experience. So this is something we don't have a lot of control over, but as we're being told, it's right after that moment when the mind has kind of made that decision, that's when we need to intervene.
Mm-hmm. A good way to practice this is when you're on the cushion and you feel uncomfortable, that initial feeling of uncomfortable, that's the time to practice.
And sometimes just labeling it is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, unpleasant feeling, Joe. You don't need to say anything more. It'll already kind of alleviate some of the discomfort, just naming it. How about chronic pain?
Oh, dukkha. Means suffering, pain. That's very, very difficult practice for a person who's in chronic pain, especially if they can't find any relief, through any medication or anything like that. So the pain is actually not the problem, according to the Buddha. It's us not liking it.
Our aversion to the pain.
And the other side of it is us always wanting to be pleasant. So there's these two things: us not liking it, the aversion, and always wanting the pleasurable side, right? So in Buddhism, we can say that pain is divided into two parts, right? There's like what we call the sensation. So like if you stub your toe, there's this throbbing, right? Like this big sensation. And there's nothing we can really do about that because we have a nervous system. I mean, that's just going to happen if you have toes. But the story we'd say, as soon as you hit it, oh, F, you know? Son of a, like all of that. Or why me? That we have control over. That is the suffering according to Buddha. So Buddha says there's dukkha, which is like this kind of sensation, the physical pain, and then there's domanassa. Domanassa means like affliction or even depression. And that's tied in with all these experiences. So we have the power not to be afflicted by the mental suffering. The physical suffering is there, but if you take away the mental part, the physical suffering just becomes a sensation, like a vibration. When you take away the story or the view that we have on it, you know, the relationship that we have on it. So we have to work on changing the narrative and changing our relationship to that sensation.
Now, can this also apply if it's, say, a chronic emotional pain, like depression or something like that?
I think it can if you focus on the symptoms of like that depression or something like that. Maybe your heartbeat or your stomach clenching, or maybe you feel really tired, or, you know, all these. If you focus on one symptom at a time and you go through them, you can break it down. But I think, you know, for those kind of situations, it's better to practice actually like loving kindness meditation, self-compassion, and compassion for others.
Okay. As compared to mindfulness or something.
Yeah. I mean, mindfulness, the whole point of mindfulness, people don't know this. Like when we think about meditation, most people are like, I'm stressed out, I'm angry, I'm sad, it's time to meditate. You're like doing it backwards, you know? You have to be a very advanced meditator for you to be able to, like, you know, shoot from the hip. You know? Meditation, sati, is actually a preventative practice. It's like having a good diet. So you don't get sick, or you don't get sick as easy. Or if you do get sick, the body recovers faster. So mindfulness is like this. It's something that Buddha says from the moment that you wake up to when you go to sleep. All day you have sati, mindfulness. He says, when eating, when urinating, defecating, you should be aware all the time what you're doing. That way, when something does happen, you're able to intervene, right? The unpleasant feeling, the pleasant feeling comes up, you're right there already, because you're already mindful. It's only when we don't have the mindfulness that this unpleasant feeling automatically jumps to aversion, hatred, cruelty. So mindfulness is a preventative practice. It's like a diet that you're supposed to be practicing. If something arises in the moment and you have to shoot from the hip, there's something else that you have to do. And that's in the Majjhima Nikaya number 19 or 20. It's called Calming Thoughts, Vitakka Santana Sutta. Vitakka means thoughts, Santana means to calm, how to calm your thoughts. And the Buddha says when an unpleasant experience or image arises, it doesn't even have to be unpleasant, it could be like greedy or anything, unwholesome. You replace it with a wholesome experience or wholesome thought. So that's the antidote to when you're in the moment, not really mindfulness. It's kind of hard to be mindful when you're already kind of like at 100 kilometers an hour, you know, like it's difficult. I've seen people do it, but don't give your hopes up on trying to practice like that. It's very hard. You should, if you're mindful before, you can catch yourself and cut it off. But the main practice that you can do when something comes up is like actually loving kindness meditation is very useful to shoot from the hip. Yeah.
Just may I be happy, or may they be happy, or
because if someone insults you, you can use that compassion towards them, right? Like, oh, what's going on with them? They must not be having a good time. No one likes to be angry. It doesn't feel good, right? Like you're all like, it's all too intense. So we can have compassion and bring up that wholesome image, right? Oh, something is not good with them. Right? And then for yourself also, right? If they critique you, they say, oh, you're not that good looking. Like, you can be like, oh, it's okay not to be good looking.
You know, I often use myself as a good example of how these practices work because of where I came from. And I tell you, even this one, you can even just fake it until you make it, and it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I am so amazed. Even, you know, like we had 4 years. Those of you who are American probably understand. We had recently 4 years of a complete imbecile as a president, and yet I could say, "May he be happy," and I would immediately feel better. I don't know if he felt any better, but I definitely felt better. I mean, it was sometimes it was just one line. May he be happy. May he be well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super powerful. The power of the word, sometimes the suggestion, is quite amazing. Which, by the way, I didn't have this practice when we had a prior idiot. And man, did I suffer. Oh my God. And he got reelected too. 8 years. God. Now, do you normally end your sessions with a little loving kindness meditation? I mean, that's usually what we do.
We can do that. Yeah.
Do that? Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody have like a burning desire or question you really wanted to ask?
I think I just have a clarifying question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So how do you go about cultivating endurance in a practice when you have chronic pain?
Mm-hmm. So actually, it's very counterintuitive what you need to do in the beginning. Usually when pain arises, we try to distract ourselves and go away from it. You actually have to embrace the pain and you have to watch it. And then you'll notice that the pain varies in intensity. It's not always at peak. And it goes away and it comes, it goes away and it comes. And you get some sort of relief, because a lot of the time when we're in pain or we lose someone, we think it feels like it's forever. Right? Like I'm never going to be good again, or like this feeling's going to last forever. But if you can see the impermanent nature of that experience, it brings some relief, because you know it's going to be different. It's going to be different. It can't be at this intensity forever. So pain fluctuates. Even people that have chronic pain, it's not to the same degree all the time. There's different parts of the day. I think it's highest like when you go at night. I forget the reason, but at nighttime it's a lot more intense. But you can find some relief in knowing, well, in the morning it's not going to be that intense, you know. So just kind of exploring that ephemeral nature of the pain can bring you some relief, because sometimes we concrete things and we make it seem like, you know, I'm never going to find another person to love me, or you know, like we get like that. But it's not a realistic point of view, right? But we fall into that trap when we're hurt, either physically or emotionally. So we have to kind of turn in and look at it and analyze it and see, hey, this is not concrete. This is not eternal. This is not permanent. This is also conditioned. It's impermanent. It's ephemeral. But it takes a little bit of bravery to kind of go in and really be with the pain. I mean, it's difficult, but I think in the long run, it's a better option. We change our relationship to that sensation.
I didn't ask you guys online. Do any of you have a question? No questions? Okay.
Okay, so now we can practice some loving kindness meditation. You can still go on YouTube after, but...
True, you won't be able to ask me.
This is going to be very short, okay? Very short one. So just sit comfortably. You can have your eyes open or closed, whatever. And just let's create this positive intention, this goodwill. Make a wish. We'll start off by first setting an example. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. Try to bring up that state, that feeling of self-compassion. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. Don't worry about the words. Just try to hone in on that self-compassion, loving kindness feeling towards yourself. And now we're going to think of all the people here in Saladana with us. May they be well. May they be happy. May they be peaceful. Focus on that state of mind, that experience, that feeling of compassion and loving kindness, benevolence, goodwill towards everyone here around you. Now we can think of everyone out here in Madrid, in the streets. May they also be well. May they also be happy. May they also be peaceful. Now we can think of all the beings in the planet, human or non-human, in the air, in the oceans, on land, in the earth. May all beings without exception be well, happy, and peaceful. Now we're going to think of all the beings, known or unknown, throughout the entire universe, wherever they may be. May they also be well, happy, and peaceful. May all beings without exception be well, happy, and peaceful.
Thank you so much, Bhakti. That was fun. I wish you were here more often. So thank you all for coming, and thank you guys online for coming. Just a couple quick things. So maybe first I'll talk about dana, which, as many of you know, is a Pali word, Sanskrit word that means generosity or dar, give, to give. And it's how we do things at Solidana. We try to follow this tradition that goes back 2,600 years of offering the teachings freely. And you guys also get to practice, because it really is a practice, right? Practice generosity, and one way you could do it is by leaving a financial donation. And today everything will be going to Bhanti's temple in North Hollywood. And you could do it. There's a box in the entrada there where you could leave, financial or paper money or coins. And then we also have a bank account, which is on the website, or I think there's even a posting over there. So you can make a transfer, or you can do Bism. And of course, it's always appreciated, and it really helps. I mean, Bhante, this is what he does, right? He teaches, and so he needs or depends on our generosity in order for him and others in his Sangha to continue. And I will be here next week. Bhante will be flying out actually that Sunday, but Saturday night he will be here, and we're going to do that one in Spanish, and we're going to crank up the aforo. We're going to see how many we can get in here. And so if you feel uncomfortable with that, you want to wear a mask or whatever, that'll be fine. But that'll be normally Chema's spot, and Chema will also be with us from 6 to 8 on Saturday. And I would say you could join us on retreat tomorrow, but it's too late. Next time. I think that's all I got. Nacho, anything? Good, Carlos? Thank you all. Thank you again, Monty, for coming, and thank you guys online for being here. And hope to see you guys here. Actually, as many in Lada. I know you travel now. I've heard you were in Spain. You can come to Madrid. Anyway, thank you all. And hope to see you again. And help us clean up too. That would also appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
See ya. Bye, Chema. Oh, Chema, did you have an announcement? I forgot you were there. You good? Okay.